Hey folks, just the other Dave here, stepping into part 2 of our AR-15 build series, the upper receiver. So if you've not seen part 1, take a step back to go see the overview. Just a reminder here, we're not sponsored by anybody, but I wanted to show you at least who or where I got these parts from. You know, VLTOR, Spice Tac guy had great super fast shipping. Is a store, not a company making parts. VLTOR does both, of course, with the upper. We got Brownells. The service is alright, you know. The price was the best on a titanium bulk carrier. Superlative Arms gas block. Sons of Liberty, well, their sticker was real huge, but Sons of Liberty Gunworks supplied the gas tube and some parts we'll see on the lower build. Arisaka rail, Scalarworks. So these guys weren't in the first video. Package was a little late because I was late ordering it. We got their Scalarworks Peak ironsights. So these guys that get mounted on the upper receiver rail, and then this piece of rail that will go on the handguard. So it's got hand adjustable little click wheels for the front, say call it elevation over here, windage over here, flip up peep sight ghost ring conversion from a big circle to a little one. So what are we going to do here? Well, I'm going to put it all together. It's really sort of a first time for me. It's kind of we'll call it a dry run, because everything really needs to be properly lubricated, and I want to do a fit check, make sure I know how it all works, and then when the gun is finished, I'm probably going to come back, lube it, torque and retorque, whatever I got to do, Loctite, all that jazz. So we're just going to kind of go quickly through how you put this together. So, the handguard really needs to be the last item I think we put. Well, the stuff that goes on the handguard is the real last item, but this will probably be the last time we put on, because it's going to get in the way of doing any other work. Now, unfortunately, our upper receiver, the nut that's going to secure it is inside the handguard, if you can see the threads here. And to get this out, I've already kind of taken a look. I cheated. I looked at the directions because I couldn't figure it out. Sorry, take my man card for that one. But so you take these screws out. That's easy enough. But this guy is sort of pressed in there, so that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. It'd probably be easier to get it out than it will be to get it on there flush again to begin with. So what this is, this collar, this octagonal collar is pressed into this guy. The internal bit is theoretically, quotes, able to rotate till you can clock the handguard any way you want after you thread it on. Well, I need the threaded bit to secure the barrel. So I guess we start where we start. Before I can put this guy, the gas tube on, gas block, it's got to go on before the flash hider can be secured. Again, I cheated again too with the Surefire Warcomp here. I kind of checked. I did some screwing on and off, of the guy to check to see where the ports ended up. Of course, they got a nice guide here. If you can see this little circular chart, it tells you what each of these little things tells you. It doesn't actually have a numeric angle on it, really. It does say 6 o'clock over here. That's about as close as you get, and it tells you what size and how many of the shim washers. So that's this stuff right here is different thicknesses of washers, and then there's a big super fat one which had red marker on it. Probably still does on the other side if I can pick the thing up off the table. So they talk about the washers based on the ink color. Well, this red on this guy is also red on some of these others, so I think it may have rubbed off or something, because I couldn't figure it out, and I said, well, there's only 3 sizes of shims in the instructions here, and you flip back a couple pages and it talks about a different kind of, it's a spacer, it's not a shim, so it's a required reading, of course. And now what they say is, well, if you want the 6 o'clock position, use this spacer and nothing else. Well, I found out that even then, and I ain't even torqued the thing yet. That's kind of why I'm waiting to do the, this is the rock set Loctite, basically, thread locker. Before I do the thread locker, of course, I want it torqued to make sure that it's really going to be at the angle I want it. So you put the spacer on, and then I found out that just hand tight, I needed 2 shims to get it to stop where I wanted it. And I'll probably have to add one more when I get the torque wrench on it. Speaking of, this is their specialty torque adapter tool. I didn't realize this until I looked at the tool, that the prongs are not perfectly concentric. They don't point towards the center of the thing, or rather they do, but in a offset sort of way. So I guess they're pointed roughly at the center, but they start off kilter at an angle there. So of course it aligns, right? So aligns very poorly that way and aligns reasonably well this way. There's so much play here, I kind of am wondering what the point of... Obviously you need a tool, but you would want to have some good fit there so you didn't round anything off. So I'm a little paranoid about torquing on this, especially because they call out for 20 to 30 foot-pounds. Well, this is a half inch drive. So half-inch drive torque wrench is massive. A half-inch drive torque wrench that I've got is one I use for axle bolts. It had it on the table here. I think it walked off. But it's you know, about like that. You know, like it's bigger around in the barrel, longer, definitely probably stronger in you know, torsion if not explosions. So what I'm saying here is you know, obviously going to be ginger careful. 30 foot-pounds might not hurt anything, but that torque wrench should be fully capable of, if I were dumb enough to lock all this together in a vise, I could twist the gun halfway around and shoot upside down. So yeah, so I don't get it. You know, give me a 3/8. You know, it's probably the most common, at least in terms of what I end up using. I guess if you got a half-inch breaker bar for your rusted truck bolts, maybe that's all you got. And honestly, I'd rather see a 1/4 inch. So one other thing, and I hate to have to buy specialty tools. Of course, I bought a torque screwdriver. So for some of these smaller things, especially if you're out there buying your titanium Farkle, you're gonna want to follow the torque procedure there, so you don't strip out anything special. Aluminum bits too, but there's more pins and less screwing around over here for the aluminum. So we need proper Allen wrenches. Now I got a few floating around. About to find out that these are the wrong ones. So this actually I think came with the upper, but standard will fit metric if you don't mind it being a little round. Don't look too closely. This is actually a Torx key, not an Allen key. So the goal here is to align this port, the port for the gases to go out of in the gas block, with the hole in the barrel, which maybe you can or cannot see. I just said not see. Oil bottle leaking outside, of course. Trying to get this all in place here. Now I'm all lubed up. Just doing this so it doesn't stick together too fiercely. I'm sure there's official directions for this. Now we got a nub, a divot. I guess these guys would be the nubs, right? We got an alignment mark on the barrel that ought to prevent us from going anywhere once we get in the right place. That will make sure the holes are properly lined up. And just proof of the pudding type deal here. That hole is about aligned with the logo. This is about the same distance to that logo, and that hole is on top right now. So if I was to do that, we should be in business. I mean, we should go straight into the nub. Nope, no joking around there. See, if I try to sneak up on it, I either catch it or I don't. And just to triple check, always triple check. Yep, there it is. There she blows. Hope she blows. Anyway, it helps to wiggle this stuff when you're slowly tightening it up so you know you got it in the right spot. I'm not even touching the one that doesn't go in the hole yet because I don't want any extra friction that I didn't ask for. I may actually back these guys out, you know, after I read the directions and all that. Back these guys out a little bit and throw some Loctite on them. I'm not gonna torculate it too much. So gas block. All right, so cheated, did some slip fitting off screen. Put some oil on this guy. Got an alignment nub up here. Wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, so like, I mean, I got another 1/8 of an inch to go. She's pretty tight. Well, no, I kind of went. I mean, I'm sure the nut will secure it there. Of course, I got the extra linty cloth for keeping my hands clean and properly dusting up all my gear. Don't mind the stains on the cloth. No, a smarter fellow than I would have put the gas tube in before he done that. But we don't got a bolt carrier group in the way yet. So the gas tube, she don't mind going in like that. Now there's a hole here on the gas tube for gas, but there's a hole that goes all the way through down on the end. That's for pinning it in place. So just eyeballing the hole in the gas tube. You guys won't be able to see this. This is so small, so it wouldn't show up on camera. Get the macroscope out. Alright, so back and forth till the hole is clear. Go for the Ziploc bag that I wrote gas tube to block pin. I didn't write that, somebody did. A little concerned about that because I got another pin that looks just like it that came with the gas block. So do I use one or do I use the other? Did you fire 6 times or 8 times? I like this one because it's black. They look exactly the same size. And I'm pretty sure one came with the tube by itself and the one with the wrench came with the gas block. Oh, I don't know, that was the right wrench for the gas block, huh? Whoops. Probably for the set screws on the bottom. But it's a super long one for getting at from the front ways of the gun under your handguards and all that for adjusting, because it's an adjustable gas block. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I'll get back to it later when I'm at the range with this finished build, swearing at the adjustable gas block. Alright, so roll pin is just a folded up piece of sheet metal. Was a folded up piece of sheet metal before I broke it. Yeah, so thing to do might be to get some needle nose pliers. I don't know how many takes it'll take me to get this thing in. Trying to maximize the amount of light I see through that hole. Just a little bit of twisting and a little bit of sliding changes the whole view of the world right there. Am I right? It's all over but the crying, really. Hey folks, if you're still with me, admitted defeat, had to go get some proper tools. Couldn't do it with my bare hands. I know 150-pound weakling here, but of course y'all are gonna hoot and holler and be upset, but I grabbed a multi-tool. Good fella named Captain Gary gave this to me. Pliers, roll pin that I will never be able to pick up again, and call it quits. You know what? Maybe I'll try the roll pin that came with the gas block. I could see by my laser eyeball there that I was closing that roll pin all the way and it wasn't really starting, so I'm guessing that one's a metric and this one's a standard. Like I said earlier, of course, they looked exactly the same. Probably edited that out already with about half of my oohs and ums. Why am I holding the wrench? I wanted the roll pin. So this is that super long wrench for doing gas block things. When you got your handguard on, covers this guy up and you want to be able to adjust it, you come at the adjuster from the front here with your super long wrench. That's what that's about. Honestly, I wish it was another couple inches longer. If I didn't have a 16-inch barrel, if I had been a traditionalist there with the 18, 20-inch barrels, this wrench would have been useless, right? Like, give her a little half pinch there to get her started. So this one might actually work. A lot of farting around here, but now the thing to do, you apply some percussion for this roll pin, huh? It's almost as if I had some tools off screen that I had thought about I might need. Of course, stole this from my buddy Jeff. AR-15 bench block, so it's a specialty carve out, not match anything at all, because none of these say put your gas block here, dummy. Bench block is just a piece of plastic or some non-marring device. Let me show you another one here. Actually, this is probably 2 peas in a pod, but it's a device for supporting something, give you some holes, usually so you can hammer a roll pin in. These are almost too nice. Maybe I won't use his. This fella is specific to the lower, pops in the mag well and lets you clamp it in a vice vise. So twice as nice. Forgive all the loud noises. I love lamp. Alright folks, back for try number 3. We are coming proper this time with the right tools. I bet you married men can't say that without a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth. So we got a generic bench block. This is still, I guess, relatively firearm related, but holes for punching pins out, grooves for just V grooves for, you know, putting round things in place, that sort of deal. So somewhere around here, ooh, that one lines up. So here's the trick to it. You find the hole, you got a round thing that you got to align to, and then you find the hole that's closest to what you wanted to align to. I don't know how they decide how to place these things. I'm gonna have to kilter off there a little angle. Now I got the brass shank reducer, and of course, as I said, pins and punches, but that little hammer will never work right. In bed, not the first time some of you heard that. This one I made myself, of course. Just lathed a piece of round bar stock, drilled a hole. Terrible knurling. What were the ring finger groove here where the knurl skipped and left a you can probably see the glitter on the camera. There's an unknurled ring there where the teeth that do this pattern hopped, and then they wouldn't align. No matter how many times you pass side to side, they would skip again because they were biting onto the mismatched pattern on the other side. Just turned down the end there, pushed it through. This is just aluminum, and then I peened it over with a bigger hammer. So who made the first hammer when it takes a hammer to make a hammer? So anyway, I got all these pins and punches, and of course, well, I go with the right size when the biggest one will work too. This is just to give me some clearance so I don't widolarize my barrel. All you guys are going to start crying foul that I'm plagiarizing the Canadian, but well, I can't do all this at once. This is why you use a vise. Don't worry, this is steel with some kind of hard finish, right? So it should come right off. There might be some reduced casualties if I got closer to the right size punch. You know, it'd be nice if these had a little pilot cone on the end so they would stay centered. Now I got some other grooves on the other side of the block, but I don't know if they'd be as functional. Well, like I said, I don't know how they decide these things. Now if I was choosing, man, I would have probably chose to start from the other side if I had seen that option. Yeah, it's just some brass shavings probably coming off the hammer. Hopefully not off the punch. Now, I mean, that's almost flush in there, and flush is good enough, but I want to see. I got some smaller doohickeys to see if I can this to go in the hole. Yeah. That way there's no chance of me driving my brass punch in the outside of this fella. Now I do have a glancing blow of brass there. Probably wipe off. I'll scrub it off when I get to cleaning after the first round of the range, right? Imagine that, we just pinned a gas tube and screwed on a set screw gas block. You know what, I'm feeling adventurous here. I might even see if this is the right size wrench for these fellas. Woo! Ain't much tightening left to do that the Torx didn't take care of. That's on there. I'm about to regret that. I bet you this guy didn't rotate proper with this thing in the way. So let's get on to that problem. You know what? Let's rip the band-aid off. I got these extra screws here because they know that when they put a screw in the bag, you're going to lose it. That's why it comes with 4 in here and only 1 in the bag, so you can lose the 1 in the bag. This will be a Coda Evolution cahbon. The cahbon fibah. I guess one of these long screws might be something other. Little screw definitely matches these outside ones, and I ain't seen any other screws on this thing. Something suspicious going on there. Probably the kind of warning that would make you read the directions. But like I said, I gotta reacquire that man card after buying the right tools for the job and instead of using a hammer and wrench. Okay, so you're probably rejoining me right this instant on account I cut out all the wasted time turning the screws. Nothing eventful happened, and I definitely didn't have to edit any swear words out. So there's the gotcha. Thing's unscrewed. If I can get this on the camera frame here. Thing's unscrewed, but golly gee willikers, Batman, ain't no way that's coming out. So of course, again, I kind of pre-gamed a little bit. I tried to take this apart and utterly failed. Still ain't found the torque wrench, but I did find my handguard plug remover for the barrel nut that's pressed in there, however it's pressed. So what we got is a big long 1-inch wooden dowel, what for driving motorcycle shocks apart, things like that. Got the one American dollar sticker on there, so you know, it's proof that you know, if you can do a job yourself, it pays for the tools. Tell that to your wife, fellas. So what's the plan here? Well, we're gonna stick her up inside, out like that. I don't know if you can see, but this is all the way up in there. There's no exceptional features or anything I can feel with my fingers sticking out to worry about flattening. So we just put this guy on the ground. And then this happens and you're extra screwed. So it turns out that that's exactly the size that will slip through the hole if you're not careful. That's what he said. Bam! Perfect. Maybe it will wiggle loose. Now, I guess you do this a few times and your handguard probably won't stay on ever again. That's what the screws are for. So, yeah, you can see some battle damage on the threaded part where it has worn from scraping on the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is very abrasive, and of course this thing was probably pressed in there to begin with. Woo! Lots of cancerous dust. Hey, Coda Evolution, I'm coming for you when my lung cancer sets in for the payments. So you guys better go out of business in the next 50 years so you don't get caught with that. Woo! Here I go whacking everything with the fanciest, most delicate piece on the table. So yeah, exactly as I feared. Of course, the gas tube's got to go through this cutout, which means probably ain't gonna be screwing this on too easy. Now, again, this fella is supposed to... well, maybe, well, I don't know. So, couldn't see this from the outside, but there's some screws in here. 3 of them for clamping pressure, I guess, to keep the thing from spinning. At least they included the right one, so I don't have to go dig through the toolbox and find 600 Allen keys from 3 different sets and not the right size. So, I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I just keep buying the damn sets and keep walking off. 5mm, look, talking about you. So, well, I loosened her up, but that didn't make any difference. Maybe it's the other way. I love this, you know, wild speculation. Maybe I'm not. Let's see, does this get tighty, loosey, lefty, righty? Nope, nope, that tightens it. Yeah, so loose is loose, right? Like, when it's so loose that the screw heads are starting to come proud, like, screw heads are becoming sentient, what have you. Yeah, okay, so that explains the long screw that was in the thing as a spare one of these fellas. Probably not supposed to be doing any prying or anything here. That is how this thing is like a ring. Ah, shoot. This part has to go under the gas block, so there's no way. That's got to come apart. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Now that we got this turned over the right way, where it actually does line up with our universal bench block device, it wasn't intended for this purpose at all. A lot of bouncing going on the table here. We're on a wooden table for a good reason. Alright, so pin dropped loose. There she is. Oh, eBay alarm's going off telling me to buy junk. Well, that was too damn easy the frickin' second time. Well, this fella's in the way too, so he's coming off. Alright, well, we'll get it figured in a second here. Yeah, it's got a nice flat side on the receiver just for this purpose, laying things upside down. This gets fiddly when you have this super long Allen key. I should have used the short side. Definitely should have put it in with the short side because that would have been torque limiting. I tighten this thing to kingdom come here. Probably going to have some nice scorch marks on the paint underneath from installing it. This one's got to come out of that hole. Okay, hey, you know, nice and crisp little divot there in the nitride. That's why I got some oil on it. That way it won't rust, right? Exactly as planned. Yep. So logo goes that way and not that way, because the grooves. This thing has to slip on this way. I'm not worried about up and down right now because I got to thread the thing on pretty good first. I'll probably have to put those screws back in and find a wrench to tighten this thing down with shortly. Okay, so now that those screws are out, she's slipping on that ring. Well, that ring has got to be torculated. So now it's a perfect circle. So if I take this thing off, ain't no way the ring here is smooth all the way around. I think this is aluminum and this is, now it seems like it's nylon or something. Shouldn't be Delrin or nothing like that. But since I'm here, you guys probably ain't got a review to answer these kind of questions. I couldn't find a whole lot of information on this one myself. Oh, I don't know. There might be some wrench flats. Might be I should read the directions. So yeah. I don't know. This guy's, it's pretty tough. It just has this kind of matte finish. But I guess that could be anodizing. Nah, it's not. It just doesn't have the temperature. You know, it doesn't have that feel. So it's supposed to be like a super hard polyether ketone type deal. Yeah, but hey, look, we got wrench flats, boys. We might be in business now. All right, let me figure out the wrong tool for the job here. If you're a standard issue AR fanboy, you got something like this laying around. Well, I ain't sure that that's going to work. Again, thanks to my buddy Jeff for letting me steal his tools, but she don't fit. You must have quit. No, like there's all kinds of universal grooviness to this, but nope. That's for a standard military style whatchamabob. Oh look, barrel nut, 30 to 40, 30 to 80. Does that really say 30 to 80 foot-pounds? That's deeply concerning. I might actually look at the directions and get the torque spec off that one. But it looks like I might have to go get a standard issue wrench and maybe a nice something smooth to keep me from wrecking the finish that I'll never see again. So I'll be back in a second. That's how these jobs go, right, fellas?